Inhale slowly and exhale slowly. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Inhale very slowly and very deeply. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale slowly and very, very deeply. I am that I am. I am not the body. I am not the emotions. I am not the thoughts. I am not the mind. I am the soul. I am that I am. I am a spiritual being of divine intelligence, divine love, divine power. I am connected to my higher soul. I am one with my higher soul. I am that I am. Be still, be quiet, be aware. Visualize yourself surrounded by brilliant white light. This brilliant white light is flooding the room that you're in. Every inch, every corner, the floor, the walls, the ceiling, covered in soothing, healing white light. This white light comes from God, comes from your higher soul, and comes to you. At this moment, all you feel is a tremendous sense of peace, of calmness. Inhale. Inhale slowly, inhale deeply. Exhale and let go of all the tension you're carrying in your shoulders. Exhale and release all the tension you are carrying in your shoulders. Release and let go. Be aware of the stress and tension you might be carrying in your face, especially in your jaws. Just inhale. Be aware of your face. Open your mouth, exhale and let go. Close your eyes. Close your mouth. Brilliant healing light is coming in to your body, into your brain. The entirety of your brain is flooded with brilliant healing light. This liquid white light is removing all negative thoughts and all negative memories. The liquid white light is in your eyes, your pupils, your eyeballs, your retina, the optic nerve. This healing white light is removing, healing all the negative things that you have seen and imagined. Exhale and let go. The brilliant white light is in your ears, your right ear and your left ear. It is healing, dissolving, removing all the negative things that you have heard. The pain, the crying, the sadness, the anger, all of it is being healed. The healing white light is in your nose, and anything negative that you have smelled, memories are associated very deeply with smell. So anything negative that you have smelled, anything that triggers you is also being dissolved, neutralized, and transmuted by this healing white light. The white light is in your mouth, your lips, your gums, your teeth, and your tongue, flooding the entirety of your mouth. Any hurtful or painful things that you may have said, defensively, offensively, anything hurtful or painful you may have told others, is being dissolved, neutralized, and transmuted by the blessings. The white light is traveling down your throat. Anything hurtful that you may have digested, that you may have absorbed, is also being healed. As pranic healers, we often become psychic garbage cans. In the word of Master Chokok Sui, the founder of pranic healing, we become psychic garbage cans, absorbing a lot of the stress, tension, and pain from our clients, from our patients. This liquid healing white light is now dissolving away all of that internalized hurt. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Inhale slowly and very deeply. Exhale slowly and deeply and let go. Be aware of your shoulders. All the excess responsibilities, the burdens, the emotional baggage that you're carrying around is being dissolved, neutralized, and transmuted by this healing white light. The white light is traveling down your arms, into your hands. If your hands are with your palms facing upwards in a receptive posture, the white light is traveling down your arms, dissolving, neutralizing, and transmuting anything negative that you may have ever felt. Your memories, your sight, your sense of smell, your hearing, your words, and your sense of touch. All of these are being healed, soothed. While we are in this blissful state, let us invoke to the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to my spiritual teacher, Master Chokok Sui, to Lord Mahaguruji Meiling, to all the great, great ones, the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, and spiritual helpers, to the great beings of theosophy, to the great beings of Astara. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your love, and wisdom with us, for giving us this opportunity to gather together as a group, to share the knowledge, to share the wisdom, to share the information that we may become better persons and better souls. And we may use this information to help others, to soothe others, to heal others. And exhale. Gently open your eyes with a smile. How are you feeling? Peaceful, calm, collected? To a certain extent, this sensation that you're feeling is what people feel post-death. So if you ask the question, what does it feel like to die? There are only two kinds of people who are qualified to describe what it's like to die. Those who, because of some accident or some illness, they partially cross over the border and return back to life. And the journey, this experience is so vivid that they talk about it very eagerly, but very quietly, because they don't know if everyone will believe them. So that's the first kind of person. The second kind of person who's qualified to describe what it's like to die are initiates and mystics who have entered the other side through meditation, through spiritual practice, through prayer. And we are going to be relying upon the words of the second group of people who have written, and we've measured their energy, we measured the spiritual cord, and it's in the recommended readings. So we are going to be using their words in order to inform, to share. So sometimes it happens that the death can be extremely traumatic, the death can be extremely painful. But what is common in all of those situations is the soul feels, or the person feels, a very deep, sweet, silent sleep. It is sleep. The person is asleep, yet not asleep. They're in the body, yet out of the body. They feel their senses expand and their thoughts becoming very vivid. They become aware of the cords snapping one by one. releasing their hold. So as pranic healers, you're aware of cords, right? Cords connecting to you, you cut the cords, you cut the link, you're aware of this. So at the point of death, at the time of passing, the cords, they get cut one by one. The hold, the pain releases. And gradually, think of it like a balloon floating up. The balloon is no longer anchored. They feel only radiations of love. All kinds of fear melts away, and they have a sensation, an overwhelming sensation that everything is all right. Everything is fine. Keeping this in mind, this will be our guiding point of thought, that at the point of death and for what happens afterwards, they feel okay, they feel all right. So the pain, the sadness that we as healers, the healer's burden that we carry, or as survivors that we carry, that is not there for the person who has passed away. Now we get into some of the more technical points. I will be sharing my screen, and let me know if you can see it. Can you see what's on the screen on the presentation? Yeah. So we're talking about life after death, and the very gentle but very important reminder that death is a very natural process and it's needed for evolution. Without death, there is stagnation. There is a complete cessation of activity, and without death, life would just become stuck. We would not be evolving. So it's needed for evolution. Death is a continuation of life on Earth. The person remains exactly what he was before, with the same intellect, qualities, and powers. Now, for this presentation, when we use the word he, we mean it to mean humanity. We don't mean that men or women, of course, okay? Because when we've done these sessions before, we've had a group of people come and say, why do you keep saying he? Does it mean women don't experience the same thing? And we're like, no, it's just the way they wrote it, and we just use the words as it is. So just being politically correct over here, when we use the word he or him, it just means all of humanity. It's not biased towards any one group. The thing about character after death is the person remains exactly the same. Have you heard of this person called Paramahansa Yogananda? You may have come across his book, Autobiography for Yogi, pretty famous author. He has a quotation which is particularly applicable during this time. He said that after death, if we all become angels, then let's just go to the edge of a cliff and jump straight into the ocean and give up our bodies right now, because then we'll become angels and live an angelic life. But that is, of course, not the case. So the only way we can become angelic or have a good life after death is if we purify ourselves with character building. So point to be noted that a person after death remains exactly the same, just that they don't have a physical body. There are no rewards or punishments from outside, but only the result of what we have planted. This is the law of karma coming in. So if a person has led a good life, they're taken to a good place. If they've led a not so good life, then probably a not so good place. Most of us have had a mixture of good and the not so good. So we create our own experiences of heaven or not heaven within us. We are not separate from the deceased. This separation is just due to our limitation of our consciousness. So today, as a human being, how many senses do you have? As a human being, how many senses do you have? You have the sense of sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. So you have 5 senses, right? What about your sense of balance? If there's anyone over here who's done exercise at any point in time, or who's done yoga and they know what it's like to be flipped upside down or standing on their feet, 1 foot, they know all about the sense of balance. That's a sense, right? There's a sense of temperature. You know whether it's hot, you know whether it's cold. That's also another sense. There's a sense of pressure. I'm not talking about the sense of pressure you feel at work when there's a deadline. Of course, that's also there, but I'm talking literal feeling of lightness or heaviness. So as human beings, there's certain tangible senses that we have, along with certain intangible senses. After death, many of the intangible senses open up to us. Our consciousness expands. There are many faculties, many abilities which we have, but we remain ignorant to simply because we're covered in flesh. Carne, that is what the word is for flesh. So we are incarnated in the flesh. We're limited by our body. But once the limitation of the body is removed, there are many more abilities, many more qualities which become available to us. But these parts you are probably already familiar with if you've spent any time dealing with people or doing healing. Now, what happens at the moment of death when the soul leaves the body? As a pranic healer, you are doing your healing, say in the context of COVID patients, you're doing the healing for any number of days, the energy seems to be falling or fluctuating, and then one fine day you find that the energy is just not moving from your hands. It's not there. And you pick up your phone to ask the patient party what's happening, and you get that dreaded text message, I'm sorry, he is no more, or she is now one with the light. And you've got this feeling in your throat, like, oh my God, what happened? What just happened? And you feel like it's all collapsed. Have you been through this? Have you experienced this? Yes? No? Yeah? Okay. All the great spiritual systems, all the major religions, they believe that there is a life after death. The belief is that since God made human beings in his own image, since God is immortal, by extension, human beings are immortal as well. It's just that they don't carry on their immortality through the same physical body. And this immortality continues. Now, the question is, what happens after death? Based on theosophy, as the moment of death approaches, as the hour of death approaches, the life forces of the body get withdrawn. Okay, so as pranic healers, you are aware of prana. You scan the aura. By the way, I'm just assuming that everyone in this chat here is a pranic healer. Is there anyone who's not? Because if there is, then the discussion is probably not for you, but I'm just assuming that everyone is at least a pranic healer. So you know how to scan, and check. So as the moment of death approaches, the life forces, the prana, gets withdrawn from the extremities, from the hands, from the legs, and they gather in the heart center. And this can then be seen as a glowing focus of light at the heart. So if there's a clairvoyant person, they can see that the light in the heart becomes very bright. When this happens, the sensation in the lower limbs diminishes to a very high extent, to a very, very high extent. How can we use this knowledge? How can we use this particular knowledge in order to better do our healings? So this is, of course, not in any book, but since the guideline is kind of given here, what some of us do is we scan for the energy in the toe. You know, you have a human body, you've got the hands, legs, you've got the toes of the feet. They are the most extreme ends of the body. So we scan for the amount of energy that's in the toe. If it is the same size as the rest of the aura, we can say that the person is doing well, the person is alive. But if you find that the energy has reduced, if you find the energy has gone down, we can hazard a guess that this soul is about to leave the body. Why? Because the soul energy withdraws, goes to the heart center, and starts glowing over there. All right? So use this information that's mentioned in the theosophy books to kind of determine whether the person is leaving the body or not. But don't do this for every random person, because you will get different kinds of results, because as you know, a person's energy levels, their psychological levels, it varies all the time. So one day the energy might be low, the next energy might be high. Don't use this and go around scaring people saying, hey, your toe energy feels low. Are you dying? Try not to do that. We don't want to be alarmist, right? Or you wake up one morning and you're feeling really tired, scan your toe energy and you say, oh, it's, I'm dying, okay? Or maybe one day you've stubbed your toe against a piece of furniture. Everyone knows that sensation, right? You're walking bare feet and then there's a piece of furniture and then that little finger goes. Yeah, I can see the grimaces on your faces for those whose cameras are on that I can see. So don't scan your toe at that point of time and say, oh, this has caused a lot of pranic congestion, therefore I must be very alive, which is true. You feel really alive at the point when your feet are achieving oneness with the furniture. So measuring the toe energy is a way of determining whether a person is on the verge or on the threshold or not. So we're going to take, say, a couple of seconds, couple of moments, and we're going to do a small-ish experiment. If any of you here as healers, if you have lost a patient anytime in the last couple of weeks, think of that person. Think of them at the point they were healthy. For any of you who have not experienced a case where your patient or anyone has passed away, think of a loved one. Think of a loved one. Think of them when they were healthy, when they were happy. Scan their energy. Scan their overall energy. Scan the energy in their feet, in their toe. Okay, do that right now. Okay, you found something? Good. Now, mentally say, I am scanning the toe energy of XYZ 1 hour before their death. I am scanning the toe energy of the person XYZ 1 hour before the soul leaves the body. And then scan the energy in the toe. Do you notice that the energy is significantly changed? If it was a certain level before, you might find it to be much, much less at that time. So that's one way of somewhat determining whether the person is on the way out. It doesn't matter if you're scanning the left toe or the right toe or any number of toes, just scan. Don't overcomplicate things, keep it simple, just scan. Scan the energy in the foot, okay, in the toe. You might not get an exact result. Again, this is an indicative idea. You cannot say the person is 99% alive and 1% passing away or this or that. It's just an indicative idea to figure out whether the person, what state of wellness he or she is in. So this is what theosophy says. And as always, you try to keep things a little practical. So you can use this as a rule of thumb to somewhat get an idea. Okay. Not saying it works all the time, 100% of the time, because miracles do happen, but an indicative idea nevertheless. Okay. Any questions up to this point? Any questions about this? Yeah. Okay. Moving on. As the moment of death draws nearer, the life forces are withdrawn still further, and this time they're focused in the middle of the head. When this moment arrives, the person may or may not be physically conscious anymore. If unconscious, such as in the case of a coma patient, the clairvoyant people will see that the patient is moving outside the physical body. Okay, we actually had this kind of a case some time back. One of our healers was doing healings for a patient, and this patient, youngish person, but was clairvoyantly observed to have been moving around in the hospital room. The person was not going back into the body. So the healer tried to use, all the technologies available at their disposal, but the soul was not returning back to the body. So you can say with a certain amount of surety that when this moment arrives, the patient is comatose and the energy has been withdrawn from the extremities to the heart and then withdrawn further to the head, and they can see that the person is no longer in the physical body. At that point in time, most likely they are not experiencing any physical pain because it's time all the connections are getting cut. So what's the deeper implication? You see the pineal gland, if you look over here, this is approximately where the pineal gland is located in the center of the head. This is the center of the soul consciousness during physical life. And in many spiritual practices, it has a tremendous amount of spiritual significance. In Arhatic Yoga, if you've done Arhatic Yoga, if you've done the meditations, the practices, you would be aware of the importance and the significance of the pineal gland and the fact that it's often known as the gateway to the inner world, as a pathway to the inner world. So this is pretty much where the soul energy arrives and it starts to move off. Now, once the physical body is gone, once the physical body has stopped its function or the connection is cut, the dead person, the soul, uses another body. Okay, this body is much, much finer than the physical body or the etheric body. It's called the astral body. So if you've been a part of any of our esoteric study sessions, of our esoteric study, we dealt with many of these, you'll know that there's a physical body, there is, so your physical body, you have an etheric body, you have an astral or the emotional body, you have a mental body, and you have a causal body, which is where your higher soul is. So after death, the soul uses the astral body. And it's called the astral body because it glows. It's made of self-illuminating matter, and it's surrounded by an aura, by an atmosphere, and it's visible as light, which is constantly changing colors. And these colors correspond to various states of consciousness and changes with every change of feeling and thought. So basically, after death, the person becomes a being of light. And this light glows and changes depending on how the soul is feeling, the quality of life that they've lived, the kind of emotions that they're having. So immediately after death, if a person is at peace, you can imagine that the colors will be kind of light and bright. What happens if the person is sad, or there is so much of trauma surrounding the person's passing? Do you think the person will be able to move on in a happy, in a peaceful way? Do you think that's going to happen? No, no, it's not. So there are some images which are connected to theosophy, not going very much into details over there. There are various thought forms. The moment we think a thought, we create a form of energy. These are thought forms. The more we think about it, they become more and more powerful. As healers, we have a lot of sympathy. We want to know what happens. So as a healer, when you're busy scanning, all right, what's happened to my patient? What's happened to my client? This is pretty much the kind of energy that you are generating, right? The squiggly, pointy, sharpy things which are going to your patient, trying to figure out how they are. And then you figure out that the person is in a critical state or they're about to pass away. You feel a sense of compassion. You feel a sense of love. So you sit down in your meditative posture, you project energy, and this is the quality of color, the quality of energy that comes out of you. You feel affection that, okay, may this person, may they be blessed, may they go to the light. If you're on Facebook or social media, you would have come across, again, in recent times, people putting up photos of their loved ones, people who've passed away, and they've written a short memorial. And then the comment section is filled with people who are saying, RIP, rest in peace, to the light, etc., etc., etc. This vague, pure affection, this is the kind of energy that they are generating. They have a sense of compassion. But they feel the love that may the person go to the light, may their soul be blessed, may their family members be soothed during this difficult time. That's the kind of affection, the kind of energy that is being generated. Why is this important? If you radiate this kind of energy during your healings and after, like energies attract. So you will be attracting light and affection, light and love to yourself and to the patient party, to the soul. And you'll be sending them all of this beautiful, beautiful light, this beautiful love that helps them move to the next stage easier. Correspondingly, it's because you've given love, you yourself are entitled to receiving love, right? It's in giving that we receive. You don't feel quite as hurt or quite as pained anymore. Now, just do a quick comparison. Which of these two energies would you like? Would you like this nice cotton candy sensation, or would you like this pokey, pointy sensation? Which one would you prefer? Okay. So it's in giving that we receive. So you've got healers, you've got healers who are texting or calling the patient, how are you? Let me know. Okay, hey, you have not responded in 1 hour or 24 hours or this or that. You are sending this kind of stressful energy to the person, to the patient party, and it's going straight in. I understand that you want to help, but which energy do you really want to send them? This energy or this energy? So touch your heart, send the love, be receptive, and then do your healings. If the patient party doesn't get in touch, take your time. No need to be an over-aggressive and over-enthusiastic healer. Relax. None of us are making out of this journey alive. We've come, we'll go. Make the process enjoyable. Make the process comfortable. Yeah. Now, everyone's looking very, very serious. Good. We're going to get even more serious. At this time, the aura of the dying patient will be floating outside their physical body. And the aura is joined to the physical body by a stream of flowing forces between the head of the physical and the astral bodies, and it shines with a very delicate silvery light. As long as the flow continues, there's always a possibility of physical awakening. Once it's broken, there's no possibility of any return. So the soul's out, the aura's out, it's connected with a silver cord. So those of you who've done Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul, you know how many silver cords they are, you know where they're located and their purposes. As long as those cords are connected, howsoever thin, as long as they're connected, there is a possibility of return. And this is something, I don't know if it's very relevant to share personal stories. So yeah, actually, we just skip that. We don't want to hear stories of people getting reanimated while the rest of the family has said goodbye. So it's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. But once this cord is cut, once the cord is broken, no one's going to come back. When the actual moment of death arrives, the silver cord breaks. This will make the man rise as though released from a gravitational pull, and man gets freed from his body. So it's connected, it's strongly connected. The moment of death arrives, it becomes looser, weaker, and then snaps. Release. Why is this part important? Freedom. Master Chua says with death comes freedom. Let's do an experiment. Let's do a visualization, shall we? Close your eyes. You don't have to visualize or imagine yourself in this. I'm just going to walk you through a thought experiment. You're just using your mental faculties. You're not physically experiencing this. You're just using your mind, okay? Using your intellect. There is a person, 32 years old. He has a 2-year-old daughter, a 75-year-old father, and a 68-year-old mother. His younger brother is starting his career. He is the sole provider of the family. He earns a certain amount of money. His wife is young. His daughter is young. Suddenly, he gets diagnosed with COVID. And he fights in the hospital. His oxygen saturation drops down to 90, 85, fluctuates. His body is poked full of instruments. Monitors are beeping all around him. Beep, beep, 24/7. He can't eat on his own because there's a ventilator shoved down his mouth. His mouth is open and there's a tube going all the way down into his lungs. His jaw's perpetually open all the time. He can't eat. He's being fed through a tube poked somewhere in his body. He can't go to the toilet on his own. There's something that's taken his urine away and taken him to the bathroom. Can't shave, can't bathe. Do you think he's having a good life? He's alive. We're working and working and working, but what's his quality of life? The doctors, he's conscious. He can hear the doctors saying, he's sick, he's not well. He can come out of it, but he'll have to live in a bubble all the time. His kidneys damaged, his lungs damaged. We don't know what extent the brain is damaged because of the duration of oxygen deprivation and all that. Do you think this person is going to come back to a happy and healthy life? Will he be able to run with his daughter? Will he be able to go on long walks exceeding 5 minutes? His elderly parents are probably healthier than him at this point in time. When he comes back, what kind of quality of life do you think the person will lead? A good one? Can he go back exactly the way things were? It's a very difficult question. It's a question of compassion, of ethics. So we want the person to stay back. He's alive, but is he really? What is the quality of life? Is it living? Alive, but living? And then comes a soothing wave, and he gets a chance to break free. His body withdraws, he's floating up, he's resting light and easy. His shoulders are relaxed. He can stand straight, he can float. There is no pain. There is no more pain. And he's free. Death is liberating. When the cord breaks, let the person go. It is natural as a healer, as a person, to want them to stay, to want them to always be around. But what is the more compassionate thing in this case? To pull them back to a damaged vehicle which can't do half the things it was capable of doing, or to let them go and know that they're in a better place? Take a deep breath. Take a very deep breath. Keep your eyes closed. Visualize a wave. Visualize that you're on a beach and there's one wave that you see in a series of waves. It comes onto the shore, crashes, and then goes back into the water. The wave was the water in a form for a certain amount of time. The wave returns to the ocean where it came from, where it's meant to be. The waves come, and you feel the beauty of the wave. You hear the sound, you see the light reflecting off of it. Sometimes, if you're there close enough, you can feel the warmth and all the beautiful little things that that wave has to offer. But then it goes back into the ocean where it came from, where it always came from, and where it's always meant to be. Each of our incarnations is like one small wave. The people in our lives, our family, friends, loved ones, all of us here who are gathered together right now, we are little waves joined together for a certain amount of time. And when it's our time, we go back to the ocean. Open your eyes with a smile. Swipe your screen so you can see the faces of all the other people in the chat room, and then wave. Wave. We are here, and life is beautiful. It's meant that way. Take a drink of water, stretch yourselves. Some of you are feeling probably a little bit emotional. Some of you are probably feeling a little something, probably in your throat, probably in your gut. And that's okay. There's no need to be sad. It's life. But with death comes freedom. In most cases, the dying person is unconscious of the process of dying. They're just feeling a sense of sleep. The soul generally gets involved in a process of reviewing the events of his life, good and bad. They'll see all the activities in a very clear perspective, the cause and the effect, their successes and the results of that. They will see the failures and the results of that as well. This review is very, very important because from this comes a certain wisdom to be distilled. So now the question comes is, if you've read, or if you believe in reincarnation, if you read about it, you know that the soul comes into a body, does its work, goes out, after some time comes back in again. Now, different books say different things. Some say that the soul comes back after several hundreds of years. Certain movies say that the soul comes back immediately. You know, the grandfather has died and it's reincarnated into the body of the grandchild in the next room. That doesn't happen categorically. That does not happen. The souls need a time to process. Okay, so anytime there's a death, it takes typically several hundreds of years for the next incarnation to happen, typically for ordinary people. For extraordinary people, the timeline varies. As the soul goes through incarnation after incarnation after incarnation, their knowledge of themselves, the lessons that they've learned, the good, the not so good, the bad, it returns to them. And I have a working theory, my personal theory, not connected to anything which anyone says. My theory is that since we don't remember the complete record of all the stuff that we've done, like I never knew if in a past life I was a murderer or someone who killed other people, and in this life I have to make good for all that. So any person who I'm doing healing for is someone who I probably killed before. I don't know the karmic implications of that, and it would be terrifying. But I would like to know whether I was good and what lessons I can be good. So when I'm doing something not so good, a voice in my head will tell me, hey, you probably did this some time back. It was not a good thing. Don't do it. And I'll stop. I like to think of that collective wisdom as my conscience, telling me what's good, what's not so good, and helping me lead a better life. So a lot of learning can happen during review, and a lot of suffering can be prevented if we act properly. That's the reason why I'm talking about conscience. That if you've just had one life and you just see everything at that time, and then you go into the next life and you just go through the same process over and over and over again, what's the point? So the remembrance, this collective memory, comes in as our conscience. Of course, there's karma as well. There are so many other factors as well, but this is in essence the main part. Now, what happens when the soul is passing away, and there are people ostensibly who are still around and who are feeling very, very, very sad? Usually, this is important. Any disturbances, excess grief or crying in the chamber of death affects the process of dying and therefore hurts the dying person. As much as possible, the place should be kept physically, emotionally, and mentally quiet to allow the person peacefully follow the process of death and move on to the higher subtle bodies. There is a certain time for a few hours which the body should not be moved. In hospitals, this typically happens in a very systematic way because they keep the body aside for some amount of time. I don't want to get into the details of it. But they're not disturbed. Yes, people are feeling sad and upset, but the chamber of death, this part is important. The place where the soul left the body should be kept physically, emotionally, and mentally quiet. It doesn't say clean, that's not the word. The word is quiet. Physically, emotionally, mentally quiet to allow the person to peacefully move to the higher places. Okay? Quietness is important. When the dying person leaves the physical body, he now lives in the astral body, which is also known as the emotional body. And this astral body is highly sensitive to the forces of thoughts and emotions. Therefore, this is important, any negative thought or emotion from the family members and friends will highly disturb him. Will highly, highly disturb him. All right. Small demonstration, of course, in a very different roundabout way. Take your finger and place it on your throat, where your voice box is. Any finger, doesn't matter. One finger on your throat, where the voice box is. Say something, say Om. Om. Do you feel your voice box vibrate? You feel the vibration? Say something like food, lunch, dinner. Most of my examples tend to be centered around food, if you've done any of my sessions before. So when you say something, you feel that voice box vibrate? Okay, now do something. Move your hand 2 inches lower into this soft spot and poke. Try speaking now. Try saying something now while you're poking it. Not easy, is it? Not easy at all. You're choking. It's actually a choking sensation because there's no protection over here. By the way, this is where the secondary throat chakra is. This is where the throat chakra, this is the secondary throat chakra. So this is a very important chakra. As the layer of protection is moved away and you are poking that center of energy, you find that you're choking. Now imagine what's going to happen to your energy if the whole physical body's protection is taken away. Can you imagine how choked you can get? So a person without a physical body, this is important, a person without a physical body experiences the exact same thing as they were when they were alive, but it is intensified hundreds of times. Hundreds of times. And on a side note, if you have patients, if you have people, like kings, queens, drama emperors, I don't know what else the other words are, drama royalty, and they say they're feeling suicidal or they're going to commit suicide, it's part of our responsibility to let them know that, hey, they're feeling a lot of pain, emotional pain, mental pain in their life right now. But if they kill their body, if they get rid of their body, that pain is not only not going to go away, it's going to intensify more and more and more. Suicide, never the answer. The pain doesn't go away. it intensifies until the soul has learned the lesson, and the pain keeps coming until the lesson has been learned. And they don't have a physical body to armor them, to protect them, to shield them from the effects. Scary stuff, huh? So good stuff. We've gone through the emotional spectrum in its entirety: sadness, happiness, fright. Okay, now comes some of the technical parts. After death, the desire elementals and the rearrangement of astral matter. I'm not going to go too much into this part, but suffice to say that at the moment of death, when the consciousness withdraws from the dense physical body, it stays in the etheric body for a short amount of time. And this takes a few hours. Physical body, etheric body, and then astral body. It then passes the astral body. In most cases, the actual process of passing away appears to be perfectly painless, even after a long illness involving lots of suffering. So pranic healers, take heart in the fact that your patients at the point of passing away were without pain. They were without pain. And that's your job as a pranic healer, right? What is the purpose of pranic healing? To alleviate the suffering of humanity. Let's say this together. Purpose of pranic healing: to alleviate, to reduce the suffering of humanity. One more time: to alleviate the sufferings of humanity. Some of you, I've heard this in my career, some of you say to elevate the suffering of humanity. We are not increasing, we're not elevating the suffering, we're alleviating, removing. We're removing the suffering of humanity. So at the point of passing, if the soul is ready to leave, they are not feeling any pain. Okay? Does this make you feel better? Yes, good. The painful part, however, begins when the human being starts seeing the whole of their past life in a series with minutest details. In that moment, they see the whole chain of cause and effect, which leads to understanding their real self without any self-flattery and deception. It's like binge watching 20 seasons of their whole life in excruciating detail. And some of it can be difficult, but this is important. Why? Because they are learning. Once the review ends, there comes a period of unconsciousness, which may last from 36 to 48 hours, varying with the individual. After that comes the awakening into the new life. Very soon after death, in most cases, an important change happens in the structure of the astral body through the work of something we call the desire elementals. Now, elementals in the context of theosophy is a little different from pranic psychotherapy. For those of you who've done pranic psychotherapy, the elementals are these small beings which are, we want to get rid of them. Basically, they are small fundamental beings of existence who do some work. Do you want me to really go into much details about the technical aspects of it, or you guys just want the emotional healing part? Okay, I'm just going to go through a little bit. Basically, this is the important part: the image on the right, the physical, the astral, the mental, the buddhic, and the atmic. Okay, and each of these planes have several subplanes. Okay, we're getting from the chat that everyone's technical. All right, I'm going to go all technical. That's correct. All right. We have 7 planes and 7 subplanes. So just like you've got solid, liquid, gas, and plasma in the physical, and then you've got the invisible. Okay, you've got the energy levels, which you can scan and feel. Then you've got the astral level. This is known as the third elemental kingdom. Okay. Above this comes the 2 levels, the lower mental and the higher mental. The lower mental is what we call, say, the mental body. The higher mental can also be what we sometimes call the causal body. Above this comes the area of the Buddha, the Buddhic plane, where you just know. Atmic, where it goes to the realm of the divine spark. Now, the top 2, the Buddhic and the Atmic levels, they are super, super advanced, and basically there's no point in really talking about them because our physical instrument is incapable of understanding it. Think of it like explaining calculus to an ant, like an actual ant. Okay, just give the ant some food, the ant will be happy. Don't get the ants involved in calculus. For the most part, most human beings also don't want to get involved in calculus, but we're going to try anyway. A great portion of the astral body is composed of elemental essence. So this part in pink, which you see, this is composed of elemental essence of the third one, the third elemental kingdom. This essence is alive, but not intelligent. Okay, so it can do things, but they don't use their brains, primarily because they don't have any brains. They're just essence. This elemental essence instinctively seeks to descend into matter with the aim of becoming minerals. Its objective in life is therefore to get nearer to the physical plane to experience as many coarse vibrations as possible. All right, let's simplify. Okay, let's look at this on the top. Okay, these 7 kingdoms. You've got this divine spark in the Atmic kingdom. All right. This Atma decides that, okay, I need people to say namaste to. I need people. So it says, I must go into matter. I need to become someone who matters. So it becomes grosser. It reduces its vibration, comes down, until it enters the mental kingdom, the mental plane. It goes lower and lower and lower until it comes to the astral plane. It goes lower and lower and lower until it comes to the physical plane. This is the first life, the first incarnation, so to speak. Okay. So when life begins, life as we know it, crystals or minerals, as the very basicest form of existence. And when they evolve, when they grow, they go on and they evolve, they become animals. And after several millennia, as animals, they become certain animals capable of taking. You've got first birth as human beings, and they go through their life as not so refined, very basic, to people who become spiritual, until they come on the path of spirituality, until they come into the path of service, and then they go into the superhuman levels. So anyone who is a Buddha today was at one point of time a crystal. So for those of you healers who love their crystals, mine is bigger than yours, crystals, who love waving their wands and their crystals around, those crystals are alive. They are the most fundamental form of existence, Earth. And they go through their life process. They grow. When the crystals die, they evolve. The soul of the crystal evolves to the next level to become a plant, and so on until they reach the whole cycle. So the cycle starts, it goes a downward cycle from the Atmic all the way to the mental, physical, and then comes the up cycle. So it's a downward cycle and an upward cycle. In short, is what evolution is all about. This is the super technical part, and they typically have several books dedicated to the topic. But that's kind of, while we're talking about this, that as the energy goes from top to bottom, as it wants to go and understand everything at the basicest level, the energy wants to experience vibrations which are gross, which are lower. So the objective, coming back here, the objective in life is to get nearer to the physical plane to experience as many gross and coarse vibrations as possible. It doesn't know, it cannot know anything about the man in whose astral body is living for the time being. It desires to preserve its separate life and feels that it can only happen by keeping connection to the man. It's conscious of the man's lower mind and knows that the more mental matter it can entangle itself, the longer will be the astral life. What does this mean? Your cells, your body is composed of cells, like trillions of cells, yes or no? Anyone here with a body that doesn't have cells? Okay, bad joke. So all those whose bodies have cells, in case we have any person who is attending the session in their astral or non-physical body, Atma Namaste to you too. But all those physical bodies, the cells themselves, do they know that they belong to you? Do my cells individually have a sense of identity that is me? Am I in touch with my lung cells, with my blood cells, with my brain cells? Hopefully brain cells, but am I in touch with all my cells? Do I know? No. These cells, they want to stay alive for as long as possible, right? Yes or no? What they will do is they're going to try and attach themselves to various levels of matter, to various levels of energy, to stay alive for as long as possible. Why are we talking about this? Because once the soul leaves the body, it's just going to go on its journey from the top all the way down to the physical and then go all the way back to the divine. You and I, we are somewhere here right now. We have a physical life. We have some control over our astral or emotional body. We are sitting, listening to technical talks. We are using our mental body. Those who are doing healings and they get flashes of brilliance, you're using to a certain extent your intuitions, your causal body. All of us are on the spiritual path and we're somewhere over here. And we want to go to the spiritual path, right? We want to go and become more and more spiritual. So our journey is up, going all the way up. That's the path we are on. And the soul wants to do just that. But the body, the energy, the astral body, they have their own life as well. And they want to carry on living. So they rearrange the energy body once the soul leaves. So when the man dies, knowing that his astral body will also die more or less quickly, the elemental essence rearranges its matter in concentric rings or shells. The coarsest is outside to make the man's astral body last longer. So basically, if your patient has passed away, there is this tremendous flow of energy which is happening as the body is rearranging itself. Disturbing this at that point in time will prevent the journey of the soul because they'll be carrying a lot of the gross energy along with them, and we don't want that to happen. Therefore, your takeaway from this, the body should not be disturbed after death. The rearranged astral body is called the yatana. Those of you who are familiar with Sanskrit would know that the word yatana means suffering or bodily suffering. In the case of a very evil person in whose body there is a lot of coarse matter, it's called the dhruvam or the strong body. It's just a quotation to say that actually it's very complicated to explain this. Point being, be good, have a good life, because if you don't have a good life after death, it's going to get really complicated. Are you familiar with this movie called Ghost? It came out 30 plus years ago. Demi Moore, Patrick Swayze. Yeah, look up that movie, Ghost. And you'll find that the good ghosts, or they go into the light, and the not so good ones, they're carried away by dark, black, unpleasant energy. So it's kind of what it means. They go through suffering. The effect of such rearrangement is to prevent the free and full circulation of astral matter, which normally occurs in the astral body. This causes man to be able to only respond to vibrations which are received by the outermost layer. The man therefore gets imprisoned in a box of astral matter, being able to see and hear things of the lowest and coarsest plane. This makes him perceive other people around him as monsters, as he can only perceive their most negative characteristics. Like energy is attract, right? Yes or no? Like energy is attract. So a person who's had a gross life, heavily into substance abuse or just very angry, all that kind of things, they are going to be in their own personal hell because their astral body, the astral matter, has rearranged itself, keeping the grossest vibration outside. So for a while, that's the only thing that they can experience. So as more and more of the grossness is removed, as more subtle energy comes to the top, the soul is able to move into the light. So this continues to happen until the outermost shell disintegrates, which enables the person to respond to the vibrations of the next higher level of the astral plane. And then it rises to the next subplane, the next subplane, the next subplane after that. The stay in each plane is connected to the amount of activity and matter in the astral body. This process of rearrangement, which happens to most people, can be prevented by strong will. In fact, for people who know and understand the conditions of the astral plane, they should not allow such rearrangement to happen by the desired elementals. If this successfully happens, the particles of the astral body remain intermingled as in life. And as a result, instead of getting limited to perceiving only one plane, the man will be free of all the subplanes based on the constitution of his astral body. What does this mean? This means that the soul, at the point of leaving the body, should be guided to the light. The more you cry, the more people are grieving, okay, and they're tapping their chest, imitating emotional King Kong. Sorry, I don't mean to mean anyone feel upset, but that's what they do. Oh, how could this happen to me? What's going to happen to me? Blah, blah, blah. Get a hold on yourself. Get a grip. Relax. The world hasn't ended. Just a person has died. And your job is to send them to the light. Your job as a healer, focus. Okay, the body is dead. You, the soul, you need to go to the light now. You don't stick around. You don't wait around to see what your boss thinks of you, what your ex-wife thinks of you, whether your children are really love you or they're just there for the money. None of that. You go to the light. As a pranic healer, you bless them. You invoke for blessings. We'll cover that part in some time. Why am I talking about all this astral matter and rearrangement and all this technical stuff? Is because as a healer, you've lost a patient and then you say, no, I was so depressed and I'm so down and I can't this or that. You're not doing your duty as a healer. Until the point you did not know, it's fine. Now that you know, it becomes your duty to really continue the process of healing after the soul has left the body. Your responsibility doesn't stop when the doctor signs the death certificate. Big responsibility, huh? But then you have the benefit of earning a lot of good karma. You send the soul to the light. You don't wait around for people around to disturb, to distract, and to make life in general miserable. You send to the light. Agree? Disagree? Yeah. If you agree, put a thumbs up. Okay. If you disagree, your karma will find its way back to you. All right. Okay. Now, the elementals, they are afraid of such bad incidences. They're going to try and transfer fear, and who refuses to undergo this transformation. Therefore, it's necessary for everyone to have thorough knowledge of astral body and elementals, avoid or neglect fear imposed by the elementals. So done pranic psychotherapy by Master Choa Kok Sui. You already know the use of which color energy works on elementals and how to use that. For those people who are not aware and you can't give them a full theosophy lesson talking them about concentric circles and elemental essence and first mineral kingdom and third mineral kingdom, just tell them, do the meditation on twin hearts. Or if you've done achieving oneness with the higher soul, if you know a person is on their way out, Master Choa talks about which meditation you can teach the person as they prepare for their journey to the higher worlds. Everything has a purpose. All the meditations in pranic healing, in Arhatic yoga, they have been systematically given. And this is again where I find the brilliance of Master Choa Kok Sui, because everything has been thought out to such details. The application is not just for when we are alive, but beyond that, and how we can help more and more people. So, Master Choa, just amazing. Always gratitude to the teacher. Now, assuming that you've already let 2 days pass and the person's already got their astral matter rearranged, it's still possible to fix it by someone who wanted to help him. So as the healer, assuming you want to help the person, you can help them. So after death, how do you help a deceased person? And with this, we enter the third and final chapter of our discussion. More than an hour has passed. So if you have time, we will go a little bit into the details of this, or if not, I understand. So shall we go on? Yeah. For the spirit, the space looks almost exactly the same. Just as we have different grades of physical matter, we also have different grades of astral matter. And each degree is attracted to that which is similar to it in the physical plane. So in the physical plane, if they're very fond of eating, in the astral plane, they'll have some correspondence. In the physical plane, if they're really fond of video games or sex or drugs, in the astral plane, they'll be fond of that. On the physical plane, if they're fond of traveling, if they're fond of languages, if they're fond of movies, they will find a certain correspondence in the astral plane. So first and foremost, what's really important, you need knowledge and information about the afterlife. So in the last 1 hour, that's pretty much what we covered. Knowledge and information about the afterlife. Number 2, prayer and blessing. Prayer and blessing, it's reasonably simple. But rather than me talking about it, we're going to be doing it. Not right now, after we've come to the main portions. Point number 3, help them to detach and finish unfinished business. So if I talk about it in terms of importance, you want to first yourself know about life after death, what happens. 2, know the prayers and blessings to do, and help them to detach and finish unfinished business. Okay, so remember when we did the visualization of the little wave and the wave went back to the ocean? Remember that? We did that some time back. We're going to try something similar, and it's called the death bardo. It's called the death bardo. This is part of the recommended readings of Master Choa Kok Sui. And It contains a lot of very useful information. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be pausing my screen share at this time and explaining certain portions, okay, explaining certain elements to you. You see, what happens after death is that since the soul retains all of its qualities, it gets confused because it no longer has a physical body to communicate. And this is the time for the soul to merge with the light. Any distractions, emotional outbursts, some people, the soul has the bodies, the dead bodies there, and they're shaking the body, trying to, wake it up, being all kinds of drama. This can cause a lot of disturbance, and it is a disservice to anyone who's passed away. Now, there's always time to mourn, but we must take certain responsibilities as pranic healers to ensure the smooth transition of the soul. Especially now, when the death's happening across the world, it becomes our responsibility to help the soul at all levels. So if you have no time to do anything else, and this really is the crux of what you can do, there's one quick step that you can take, and that is called the death bardo. The death bardo. Bardo has four literal meanings. One, it means it's between two states of consciousness. Two, it's an intermediate or a transitionary state. Three, it's an uncertain state. Or four, it's a twilight state. Very simply put, the death bardo is the after-death journey of the soul on its travel upwards, on its ascension to the higher spheres. The bardo is a state of consciousness into which every soul passes as it makes its transition from life on earth to spirit life. It's the in-between consciousness into which you will pass immediately before death and remain for an interim after death. It lasts anywhere from a flash of a few seconds to 3 days. The bardo has 3 phases. 1, to assist the souls on the bardo journey, a recorded bardo ritual may be played. Mystics who belong to mystery schools such as Astara or the Rosicrucian Society, they will read a specially prepared bardo ritual, or they play a recording to guide the departing soul. The words are very carefully planned to soothe away fear, to help guide the consciousness into full awareness of the approaching clear light. So as pranic healers, once you get the news that the soul has left the body, I'm sharing a link over here in the chat. Go onto this page. There is a recording on this page. Play that recording at 0 volume, at the lowest volume, and with the intention that the energy of the recording goes to the departed soul, with the intention that if a specific person has passed away, the energy goes to the departed soul and helps them on their journey to the light. At this time, I would like you to think of one person who you wish to send into the light. Okay, I'll give you a few moments. Think of one person who you wish to send into the light. I must clarify, this person must no longer be alive. Okay, you can't want to send someone who is alive into the physical light. Just like people who do the, Arhatic yoga, we tell you don't put the person into the thingy. Yeah, okay. This is going to need a little bit of energy. So I'm just going to turn my screen off. I'd like you to spend a couple of moments thinking about the person who has passed away, someone who's ideally passed away recently, or if there's someone who you, actually ideally someone who's passed away recently. If you don't know of anyone who in your personal life who may have passed away, think of someone in the news or someone on your social media. I'll give you 2 minutes to think about this person and connect to this person energetically. Their voice, the way they moved, their appearance. Spend a minute thinking about this person. All right. Are you ready? Visualize this person. Visualize this person. Direct the energy. The words that I'm going to say, direct the energy to them. Atma Namaste. We are now guiding you on your journey to the light. You feel a deep, sweet, silent sensation stealing over you. You are asleep, yet not yet asleep. You are in the body, and yet out of the body. Put your hands in the blessing position. Put your hands in the blessing position and direct the energy to this person. Feel their entire senses expanding and feel their thoughts becoming vivid. Be aware of the cords that are snapping one by one, releasing their hold as cables release a balloon. You exist only and only in radiations of love. All fear melts away. All anxieties vanish. And you are encompassed by a divine perception that everything is all right. You're floating out of the confines of time into the boundless immensity of eternity. Project love. There is increasing awareness that you're drifting away from all human beings, from all human things. And a pervading sense of peace prevents regret, it prevents grief or the pain of departure. All the limitations give way to a feeling of expansion, expansion, and expansion. And an invisible stream of life, of energy, drop by drop, infuses every atom. One by one, the strange threads that hold you snap, and they release you from your physical body. A new, vibrant life energy flows in you, flows through you. A mystical glow pervades the gathering shadows, and all you see is light. This is light. Every cell is bathed with light as the soul, as the mind passes out and out and upward to merge with the cosmic light. Absorb the divine bliss. Absorb the divine stillness. Experience eternity. Feel the light. Send your consciousness to the light. Pranic Healers, please project the energy, send the soul into the light. This light is consciousness beyond all limitations. May the soul be guided to the light. With the help and blessings of God, with the help of my spiritual teacher, with the help of Archangel Michael, the soul is guided to the light. May the higher soul guide the soul, be one with the soul, guided to the light. So be it. So be it. So be it. And so it is. Take a deep breath. Cut the connection. Cut the cords. Cut. 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 Cut the cord. Cut. 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 Open your eyes with a big smile. How's everyone feeling? I hope no one actually themselves merged into the light. I hope you didn't send yourself there. That would have been slightly problematic. Okay, good. Everyone back in your body, move your fingers, move your toes. Take a deep breath. Take a drink of water. This was, in essence, what we wanted to talk about today. That as pranic healers, your job doesn't just end when the physical body of the patient ends. Your job continues. You continue healing and helping the person to the next stage, to the next level. So next time you read the news of someone, don't just write RIP, requiescat en pace, or rest in peace. Don't just say rest in peace, because it's a new journey. That wave, it's going back to the ocean. Guide it, light the path. You are a light worker. Your job is to bring light where there isn't any. It's to bring courage, faith, hope, and strength. Your job is to heal. And what better way to be of service than not only to heal the physical body, but also the soul. So I hope you found the information in this session to be of some use. And if you were dealing with some loss of your own, I hope it's helped you to a certain extent to come to terms with it as well. Thank you for joining in today. Thank you for being a part of this, that we could become instruments of service, not just in life, but in the afterlife as well. Thank you for being here.
ADD, one question. Hello, am I audible?
Please, we are going to be writing. If you have any questions, leave it on the chat. We'll come to it, because otherwise it becomes an issue with the connection. So if you have any questions, please write it in the chat, and we'll take it from there. Until the questions are coming in, those of you who have questions, please put them in. What we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of, say, a centering of ourselves. So while others are writing, those of you who want to just do this, just take a deep breath, close your eyes, inhale, and exhale. Inhale slowly, inhale deeply. To the Supreme God, thank you for your priceless blessings. You want to activate your heart, you want to activate your crown, activate your will. You are a being of love, light, and power. So activate your power, activate your awareness, activate your love. Thank you for helping me to become an instrument for your blessing. Empower me that I may become a channel for spreading the light, that I may heal, that I may soothe, that I may be an instrument for spreading the light, for spreading the teachings. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, let me sow faith. Where there's darkness, let me sow light. And where there's sadness, let me sow joy. Lord God, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. Let me be the consoler. Let me be the one who understands. Let me be the one who gives love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. Om. Amen. The death bardo can be played ideally within a few hours of the person's passing, ideally within a few minutes of you getting the information. If you've gotten the information a bit late, you can play it once. The beauty about the death bardo is it needs to be played only once. You don't need to play it beyond that. Play it just once, direct the energy going there, and that's it. because the soul doesn't need to re-merge with the light over and over again. Once the soul is in the light, it's in the light. You've done your job. That's your job. Okay. Another question that's coming is that when we are scanning the toe and it's become smaller, the soul may be leaving the body. How do I know for certain that the soul is not coming back? That is, how do I know when the silver cord is broken? Now, there is no definitive answer to this. You see, this, as long as the silver cord is connected, there's a very high possibility the soul may be coming back. Scanning the energy of the feet, of the toe, is an indicative idea of whether the person is on the way of recovery or the soul is planning to exit. So it's just a rule of thumb. It's not an exact science. So it's become smaller, it may be leaving. Your job is to ensure that the soul comes back, it's healthy, but on the point that the soul does leave, you know what to do next. What to do if you get the news late, maybe after 3 days? Well, you can still play the death bardo. In that case, what you can do is you can just send blessings of love. Just send blessings of love, blessings of light, invoke for the higher beings. You can invoke for Archangel Michael. Okay, Archangel Michael is the guide to the afterlife. He's one of the angels for that. Corresponds to, say, I think Yama in the Hindu tradition. So if you've heard of him, they guide the souls, or Hades, they guide the souls in the afterlife. So you can invoke for their help, their guidance, their protection for sending the soul to the light. Does the death bardo need to be played in 0 volume? Based on personal experience, I would say yes. Why? Is because some of us are very, very spiritual, okay? And we listen to the death bardo and we decide that we have, well, this physical world means nothing. It's all going to end. Might as well go out. You don't want to do that. You don't want to get into a situation where you have self-liberated yourself from the confines of your physical body. So play it at super 0 volume and direct the energy to the soul. You don't yourself want to be doing the death bardo. If you're curious about what it sounds like, or you want to just understand what it means, listen to it with a group of friends, with a group of people, with awareness. You don't meditate on the death bardo. Don't do that. Okay, right. Next question, how do we help people who've passed away years ago? Bless them, send them blessings of love and light. You can always send blessings of love and light to those who have passed away. So if your family members or your loved ones, your elderly relatives who've passed away years and years and years ago, even your ancestors, your great-great-grandparents and your great-great-great-grandparents, all the way down to the very algae and amoeba which you decided to individualize from, you can send love and light to them also. Okay, point being, bless. All right, bonus tip, and we'll end the session after this because we've reached our time. Bonus tip. And I'm saying this because some of us have done this. You do not want to play the death bardo on repeat volume, on loop, so that any soul who's left their body can come and go into the light. Do not do that. That's a no-no. You do not become an instrument or a gateway of guiding souls to the other side. You are not Archangel Michael. You are not the angel of death, Archangel Azrael. You are not that. So you just do not play the death bardo on loop. You play it just that once. When you get the news, that's it, cut cords. However, if you still want to be of service for those who've passed on, play Om Mani Padme Hum in Master Chokuksi's voice. You know the one? Om Mani Padme Hum. You know which one I'm talking about? You play that one and you direct that the energy radiates outwards and eases the pain and suffering of every sentient being. So if you've done Vesak, you know Master Cho, how he says, may every person, every being, all sentient beings in all 8 directions, above and below, in the higher world, in the middle world, in the lower world, may all of them be healed and soothed of their pain. You play Om Mani Padme Hum with the intention that their pain is soothed. Your job is not to become an instrument of guiding souls to the light en masse. That's not your role. Your job as a healer is for your patient. So if you've gotten information that a patient has passed away, if you get information someone's passed away, you do the steps which we've told you. Okay, someone has messaged over here. From my experience, I cannot feel the inner aura. Okay, have any of you experienced this? That you cannot feel the inner aura, and when you energize, the energy doesn't feel like it's coming out. There's no energy coming out from your palm. You might have felt this. Basic pranic healing. Sometimes when the energy is already there and you send the energy, there's a pushback or no additional energy comes out. it might mean that there is no more energy, that the patient doesn't need any more energy. Or if the patient has actually passed away, sometimes you might not send that energy out. Okay, last question. For multiple people who have passed away, can we play the death bardo for the group? No, no, no. If you want to do things for the group, Om Mani Padme Hum. If you want to do these things for an individual, individually gathering a person into the light, death bardo. Okay, this is for the one-on-one. If you're doing it for multiple people, Om Mani Padme Hum. All right. Okay, so with that, we have come now to the end of today's session. Thank you for joining in, and I hope it was of some use. Let's end with a prayer of thanks. Okay. If you have any additional information, if you have any additional questions, message us on WhatsApp, on the various groups, or on Instagram. Send us DMs. We're there. For those who have registered for the session, that is, you've gone from our Pranaval website for the esoteric masterclass, you've paid for the session, the recordings will be sent to you. You'll get the link for the recording. For those who would want to purchase the link of the recording for future reference, you may just register yourself on the website. If someone could just paste the link on the chat, that would be very helpful. Thank you. Otherwise, yeah, that's it. So, spine straight. Inhale slowly and exhale slowly. The Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to my spiritual teacher, to all the spiritual teachers, the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, to the angels and great beings of theosophy, to the angels and great beings of Astara. Thank you for your priceless blessings of love, light, and power, for healing, guidance, and protection. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to gather together as a group, to be instruments of service, to be of service not only in this world, but in the life afterward. Thank you for healing us of our pain, for helping us become clean, clear, and proper instruments of your light. We thank you in full faith. Take a deep breath. Anchor the light in your system. Exhale. Share the light in your aura. Inhale. Bring the light in your system. Be aware of the room that you are in. Exhale and share the light with the room. Inhale. Be aware of your family, your loved ones. As you exhale, share the light with them. Inhale once more. Be aware of the geographical area where you are, the physical location where you are, and share the light all around you. Exhale. I'm being of light, of divine light, divine love, divine power. I am connected to my higher soul. I am one with my higher soul. I am that I am. I am connected to God. I am one with God. I am one with all. Atma, namaste. Thank you for being with us. Take care. Have a good evening, and we'll see you around. Bye.